The Bible tells a story of a woman who, in her relationship with God, was just processing some of her heart issues. She wanted to have a child, and she couldn't. And so she goes to the temple, and she goes there and she's praying. And as she prays, her lips are moving, the word says, but no words were coming out of her mouth. The priest sees her, the priest Eli sees her, and he goes over to her and he accuses her of being drunk. He judges her. He assumes things about her that were simply not true. He didn't get a chance to connect with her heart. He didn't get a chance to hear what was her story, what was happening to her in the moment. He dismissed all of that, and he simply acted on what he thought, what he believed, what he supposed. Indeed, she was in the temple, and perhaps that in itself was an offense to him. Sometimes religious authority gets in the way of personal relationship with God. For here was Hannah. She knew the burden of her heart. She knew what was happening to her. And she was taking her issues to God. But in the space of taking her issues to God, the priest stood in the very place. The priest prevented what should have been that joyful experience, that intimate experience, but he got in the way, disruptive, destructive, intrusive, in a way that would prevent the free flow of that relationship. And is it not true, sisters and brothers, that sometimes officialdom, traditionalism, that which is normative, the program, all of these things get in the way of that personal, intimate moment with God? When perhaps officialdom, religious officialdom, looks on and says, over my dead body. Religious officialdom looks on and says, that's not the way it is done here. Officialdom ignores the personal moment in the place of and in the interest of what should be, what normally obtains. So there's sometimes this tension between the personal expression of faith, the personal expression of intimacy with God, the personal connection between the worshiper and the one being worshipped, where the norm, the tradition, cuts through with assumptions, with uncalled for judgment, with assumptions about people's heart and space, with no regard to how God may be dealing with and how the individual may be processing their own situation in the moment. But look at Hannah's response. She was gracious. She was respectful, and yet she was very clear. She was very firm with the priest. Because what was important in the moment was not a confrontation with the priest, not a feeling of self-pity, woe is me, but a resolve, even in that space of anxiety and uncertainty, that God would hear her, that God would honor her. And in that very space of the confrontation between personal, intimate relationship and officialdom, she acted in a way that honored the Lord. and the Lord honored her in return.